again, the spotlight has been on Marcus Rashford, and I want to be very fair with Marcus. I want to give as sensible an assessment of him so far because it seems like we're reaching a bit of a crossroads with him now, and I think we need to look at everything with kind of a step back and to assess everything fairly because whichever way you look at it, Marcus Rashford has been an exceptional player for Manchester United. His record in the Premier League is in the top 50 all-time scorers in the Premier League from a wing position. And if you want to compare him to one of the best wingers that we've seen, Eden Hazard, he's now equaled his goals tally while only playing 69 minutes more professional football on the pitch. And that isn't, having played so well elsewhere and then coming into the squad from a different club and trying to inject something, but that is from the academy. That's being thrown in at the deep end with Midtjylland and Arsenal and scoring 2 goals in each game and continuing to go on. And he sort of reached that zenith under Ten Hag, didn't he? He reached that zenith where we saw how brilliant he can be. Even then, it was a big purple patch. And what we've noticed with him is that, well, 2 things. One is that there is an unhealthy and unnatural amount of criticism that comes his way purely because of his profile and because of his wages. And you mix that in with poor performances, then he's going to get called up on it a lot more than any other player in the club or elsewhere would be. I mean, no one will talk about Jack Grealish, who has had a poor record as well because Man City are winning. And I kind of understand it, but you're looking at it individually and Marcus Rashford scoring the goal against Ipswich, which, obviously it didn't really amount to much for the rest of the game, means that he's still ahead of a lot of players comparatively in other big clubs, but they won't get spoken about because Marcus is on a lot of money and he is attracting a lot of attention. And I think it's a really weird British thing where if you earn a lot of money, despite being a kid who came from nothing and gave back to his community and gave back to the people of the UK so much and to the children of the UK so much, because he's on so much money, you want to break him down. And there's a spitefulness about people when they write about him and talk about what he's wearing and what car he has and all this. And it just wouldn't come up for any other player. And again, use Jack Grealish as an example. It's not a reason to bag on him because I don't think any of these things should be taken in a bad way. But when he's out there, getting smashed after they've won the treble, everyone's like, well, he's winning the treble, but he's still a role model as well. And Marcus has adopted the role of role model pretty well and he's done brilliantly with it. And, he'll get those comparisons with Bukayo Saka, who's doing really well. And, there's always that seesawing thing that he's having to deal with mentally. But what's been really clear is that he is a confidence player and he kind of always has been. And his best periods are very, very good. And his worser periods are quite bad. And it's really difficult to stand in his corner all the time or to always say he's terrible because he's just not. At the end of the day, he's one of our own. And it's United against the world, in my view. Like you have to protect your players against the pincers from the media or rival fans who are going to come at your players no matter what. And with him, he is one of our own, and he definitely has the ability in order to be a great player. And with these positional sort of positionally versatile aspects of Amorim's system, then maybe there's an element that could rebirth him. He could be reborn under this system. And we didn't see it against Ipswich. In fact, we saw, one good goal with a bit of good movement. But if anything, he should have been doing a lot more in terms of his off the ball work. And I'm more talking about from an attacking point of view, because there were times when Dalot would get the ball and cut inside and wait for some sort of run that when Højlund came on, he was making for fun. Or when Maz would do the same thing on the other side, then, you wanted to see it. But we didn't get enough of that from Rashford, and his link-up play wasn't brilliant. And, for someone who is technically gifted, that's where you want to shine. So he had a poor game, and he's been having poor games. So I understand where people's frustrations come from when you have invested so much time and money into a player and you're not getting too much out of it. But I think what is going to happen with him now is that Amorim could either be the best thing that ever happened to him at Manchester United or the worst. He's 26, 27 years old now. I can't, and I'm not even going to begin to be the kind of guy that says he's down tools. He doesn't care about Man United anymore. No one is inside his head. No one has talked to the guy. No one understands it. No one understands if there's anything more at play here. Let's all just calm down with that front, because I don't subscribe to this idea that a player who loves Manchester United as much as he clearly does, is doing this spitefully and is not playing well spitefully. And I think he is just lost. Marcus Rashford does look lost, and he does look, whether that's mentally or physically on the football pitch, like Amorim himself said his players were thinking too much, and I saw that with Marcus for sure. But he's built up a catalogue of poor performances lately that, it all feeds into this narrative that he is one of the proponents of getting managers sacked. He's going to do the same with Amorim. I don't believe that. I think he is a representative of the club and the fans because he is a fan himself. But what I want to see more of from him is to play like a fan, because we are fickle. Manchester United fans are the most fickle bunch of characters that you could ever hope to ever represent. Like, we're the type where a player could play badly, like have a really terrible game, but then they sprint 20 yards and they stop the ball from reaching the halfway line and it goes out for a throw, and you close down the defender, you apply pressure. Yeah. We will scream your name. That's how weird we are. We're a fickle bunch. We're easy. We're easy to please a lot of the time when it comes to specific instances within the game. And I think the players in general, not just Marcus, but the players in general who get criticism for lack of physicality and intensity, are sort of underplaying that a lot. I think it's a British thing in general, because I've watched games in Italy and France and they don't do that. Like, if a player goes and closes the ball down or shows a bit of fight, you don't get that a lot unless it's leading to something, unless there's that specific point in the game. But we'll do that no matter what. I think it's just a British thing to work hard and reward people and players for working hard. And the knock-on effect that could have in seeing the person leading your line doing that to the rest of the players, but also having the fans see that, get behind it, and then that goes to the player who does it, and they feel something like, yeah, I'm going to do that again, and they run off the adrenaline, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna keep going, and they've got the athleticism to keep that up for more than 20 minutes in a game. 100%, and probably for 60 to 70 minutes in a game. And we've got some reinforcements off the bench in the Ipswich game, and we'll continue doing that moving forward. But Rashford needs to be more of a proponent for that, and he needs to understand, he's the one who probably understands most of all how fans are feeling, and he probably does feel it. But like 80 or 90% of your communication is done through your body language and your actions and your tone rather than what you actually say. So I don't want to hear anything anymore from any of these players who receives this type of criticism. We just want to see hard work. And that's it. And I think over time that will build, and it will build on you, and it'll build on the fans, and we'll continue. I think there's still an element of that you have to protect your own players from where the media is going, especially with players like Marcus Rashford. But we also need to hold him to account that, mate, you're not doing enough of the things that we as fans would do, because let's face it, right? I have asthma, yeah? And I have no sense of being physically capable of doing any of the things that these footballers are doing for more than 2 minutes. Facts. But if you give me that badge and you pay me £10 a week, I will run myself into the ground. I will go into cardiac arrest for that football club, because that is my football club. That is how I'm made. That is how I am. So, if you're a fan, you need to start showing it in that way. And we're at that crossroads now, because you're 26 or 27. And like I say, Amorim could be the best thing for you in injecting that and igniting that, or it could be the worst thing for you. And maybe you might want to move elsewhere. You've been here your whole life. So, it's not out of the realms of possibility in the modern game to expect a player to then want to seek pastures new. And if he does that, he goes with all of our best wishes. But, we want to see more from him, because we know there's more in there. That's the annoying thing. We know there's more in there, and we want to see it. And it remains to be seen. But like everyone in this system under Amorim, I think they've all got a bit of a fresh slate with him. And if they prove that they're not up to the task, then they will leave. But if they can, then they'll stay. So let's see where Marcus is over the next few weeks and months.